Okay, everybody, I'll do it slow. I'd like to call to order the Canton Township Board of Trustees regular board meeting on March 11th, 2025 at 6:04 PM. So we will first rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
You. Now, since Clerk Segers isn't here yet, can we have a motion to place Treasurer Slavens as the temporary clerk?
Madam Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Treasurer Diane Slavens as temporary clerk. Support.
Motion made by Trustee Foster, supported by Trustee Berninski. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, now let me see. Roll call. So, Treasurer Slavens, can you please do roll call?
Sure. Trustee Ansari.
Good evening.
Trustee Borninski.
Good evening.
Treasurer Slavens, good evening. Supervisor Graham Hudak.
Evening.
Clerk Segrist will be here shortly. Trustee Foster
Good evening.
and Trustee Ganguly is absent. Thank you.
Thank you. So, can I have a motion to go into closed session to discuss information subject to attorney-client privilege?
Madam Supervisor, I motion that we go into closed session to, on the subject of attorney-client privilege.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Slavens, supported by Trustee Berninski. Do we have to do a single roll
Yeah,
call?
we'll do a.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Ansari.
Yep, here. Oh, okay. Support. Yes,
Trustee-
aye.
Trustee Borninski.
I'm fasting.
Aye. Treasurer Slavens, aye. Supervisor Graham Hudak
Aye.
and Trustee Foster.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, thank you. We'll go into closed session. I think we'll probably, I was gonna say, you're going right into the meeting after this, but. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, hi Dana. Hi Dana. Oh, she's right there. Right. Where's Dana?
Everybody back? Okay, great. Okay, can I have a motion to move out of closed session, please?
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Foster, supported by Treasurer Slavens. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? And with the addition of, what are we going to call this?
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board adopt the agenda as presented, adding item G0, consider approval of attorney recommendation and sale of real property.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Foster. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. So our first item on the agenda is a presentation of Senator Dana Polhanke. Yes, right up there. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Graham Hudak. To trustees, I feel like I'm among friends. It's good to see you like in your business attire and presiding over our shared constituents. For those who don't know me, my name's Dana Polhanke. I am your state senator, and I represent all of Canton, part of Livonia, all of Westland, all of Garden City, and all of Inkster. So I have about 269,000 constituents. I am in my second term, so I'm halfway through my second 4-year term. Because of the extension of term limits, I will be running for a third term, my final term. I'm here to give a legislative update. Do I have 10 minutes? 10? Okay. So first of all, I just want to say, if anyone came to my coffee hour in Canton at Sweetwater's, my last coffee hour, it was fun. It's one of the most fun coffee hours I've had. Lots of people were there and eager to tell me what they think about things, and I loved it. My next coffee hour is in Inkster, and that's going to be March 18th at 6 p.m. at the Dozier Rec Center in Inkster, in case you want to come. Today I thought that I'd go over some of the bills that passed that I kind of like from what we call lame duck legislation period, which as a whole was a disaster. 250 bills that were important to me, including 9 of my own, died. Without going too much into that, we pulled a 29-hour straight long session to pass the remainder of the bills that came over from the House, and some of them that made it through, I'm just going to talk briefly about. One is to end housing discrimination, prevents landlords from denying a renter housing based on their source of income. Expansion of access to contraceptives, like hormonal patches, to be covered by insurers if they're prescribed, and gives pharmacists the ability to prescribe some forms of contraception themselves. We have a child safe storage law that's a very serious law with pretty stiff penalties if you're convicted, and it's going to save lives. It's one of the laws I'm most proud of. So you have to lock up your guns if you have guns in the home or in your car, or if you take your weapon to a friend's house. If the child gets that weapon and even brandishes it, there's going to be problems for the gun owner. So what we did is we required schools to put in a kid's backpack and send electronically home a note that tells them about this child safe storage law, because I'm finding people don't know about it. And we need to get the word out. So I'm happy that it's going to be a requirement. Expanding hate crime protections, expands the state ethnic intimidation statute by adding sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, disability, or age as characteristics. Criminalizing what's called sextortion, which is a problem especially for minors. I'm not going to go into what that is, but it can have really severe consequences. So that is specifically now a crime. We're codifying School Safety and Mental Health Commission, which has a whole array of good responsibilities associated with that. I know that PCCS, I've seen the command room that you guys have. I know you're very serious about keeping our kids safe in school, so this will codify some of those recommendations. There was an instance that actually the New York Times chronicled in Michigan where guns that were confiscated from the police during buyback programs were being sold off for parts and sold into gun kits to be repurposed into guns once again. So we didn't think that was right. We thought they need to be melted down and taken care of that way. Also, this is a big one. We increased unemployment benefits from 20 months to 26 months. So if you're laid off from your job, instead of coverage for 20 months, it's going to be 26 months. Also, we took the maximum weekly benefit from $362 to $614 a week. So I think it's more of a sliding scale how you qualify for that, but to be capped at $362 is not livable anymore. So I'm proud that we did that. Also, one thing that I'm also proud of is eliminating the statute of limitations for criminal sexual conduct for criminal indictments in the second and third degree. So, at any age, an alleged victim can now go through the process of indicting someone. They'd have their due process, of course, but for a criminal conviction. And I think of some survivors of a couple priests of mine. These were priests in my parish as a youngster, and their lives are ruined. And they're not, the two of the priests, one died in prison recently, but this would give them some form of justice if the statute of limitations passed. Now it's gone for criminal, not civil. There is I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but I know that our trustees are very up on everything that's going on, and I thought that this might interest you trustees. There's a Michigan Senate lawsuit. My leader, Senator Winnie Brinks, filed lawsuit against the new Speaker of the House. His name is Matt Hall. Teachers are telling me that the increased pay that Democrats gave them over the past 2 years is being eaten up and in some cases erased by their rising healthcare costs. For example, I didn't have data on Canton, but in Garden City, our teachers there pay around $3,000 out of pocket, out of their already pinched salaries that are notoriously low that we're trying to raise. But that's a lot. So in December, the Michigan legislature passed bills that protects Michigan teachers, police officers, and firefighters from unmanageable surges in healthcare costs. So the new Republican House Speaker decided that of all the 100 or so bills we sent over to him, he was going to hold back 9 of them from the governor so that she can sign them. And this came as a shock to us. He won't willingly give them to the governor. It's her right to have them. They were passed. So we sued him. We did win. The court expects these bills to be in the governor's hands by March 19th. He still has not complied. We expect that he will. And if he doesn't, there are going to have to be consequences for that. There were 2 bills that caused, I would say, significant division for my caucus at the very least. And one is around earned sick time and one is around a tipped wage. And I'd like to talk about why I voted the way I did briefly. 2 bills that began as ballot initiatives, but which never made it to the ballot, which I supported and are now law, are House Bills 4002 and Senate Bill 15. As it so happens, I'm the vice chair of the committee that heard the testimony on both those bills, so I did hear all the testimony firsthand. House Bill 4002 guarantees access to earned sick time for workers by requiring large businesses to provide a minimum of 72 hours of earned sick time to full-time employees, and requiring small businesses with 10 or fewer employees to provide a minimum of 40 hours of earned sick time to full-time employees. In the ballot initiative that didn't make it to the ballot unfairly, it should have, there was 40, for small businesses, there was 40 hours of paid sick time and 30 hours of unpaid sick time. The main difference between the ballot initiative bill and the bill that passed is the 30 hours of unpaid sick time went away. Why? I heard from a lot of small business owners in panels I was on, in correspondence with my office, and I do believe that a good faith effort was negotiated by Senator Sam Singh to try and make this the most fair for everyone. Even so, even though that the 30 unpaid sick hours were cut, the passing of this bill makes Michigan the most generous state in the country. We're not on many lists being number one for something good. So to be the most generous state on annual accrued earned sick time in the country, I'm proud of that. Senate Bill 15 also increases Michigan's minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2027, which is actually a year earlier than the ballot initiative language. So I'm proud of that too. But it was a tough vote. In the case of tipped restaurant servers, this one was my constituents, who are, as everyone in this room, called my office with about a ratio of 100 to 1 in favor of keeping some sort of tipped wage, like Ohio, Illinois, Pennsylvania do. A tipped wage, for those of you who haven't worked like I have, I've been a restaurant server at least 6 different restaurants in 3 different states. I know this back and forth. A tipped wage is a lower base pay. It was pretty pathetic, actually, like $4 an hour or something. And so in the ballot initiative, it would have brought, I used to call them waitresses. We are now servers. It would have brought servers to $15 an hour. Now, the servers, you might think, that's good. $15 an hour, that's good. They were mortified and petrified that the ingrained tipping behavior that we have might go away. And I couldn't, in my heart, tell them they were wrong. Based on my lived experience paying the rent as a server. So I voted to preserve a tipped wage that's going to be a little bit higher by 2031. It's never going to get to 15. But the people who contacted my office feel a sense of relief that they don't see the people tipping less. Because in the economy that we're in, I can't say that if I went to my Senate Coney Island and I knew my server was making $15 an hour, I can't say my tipping behavior would not change. I don't know. But for some people, I think it was too scary. So in the end, even though my caucus was completely divided, I stood with the people who called my office. Yeah, that was a real tough vote. Lastly, I just want to talk about, I was on social media 5 minutes ago, and I saw that the Department of Education, the federal, okay, that's going to be cut in half. 50% employees are going to be fired overnight. So that's at least 2,000 people who devoted their lives to educational research and directing funding. The threat, and I chair the education committee in the Michigan Senate. I was a high school English teacher for 20 years before this. So education's my passion. I'm not super concerned yet. I might be tomorrow or maybe in like 3 hours if more news comes out. Here's why. I just don't want people to be alarmed and freak out until the bad thing happens. Okay, so the promise is to eliminate the Department of Education. The Linda McMahon, I love WWE wrestling. I'm like a super fan, but she doesn't belong running the Department of Education, sorry. So she is tasked with ending the agency that she was appointed to run. So her stated goal openly is to end the Department of Education. How can that hurt Michigan? Michigan schools, just K-12, not even college, we receive $2.3 billion in federal funds in school aid. So $916 million is for school lunches, $533 million is for special education, and $823 million is other grants. So my hope is that amount can't be changed currently unless Congress, once money is appropriated, it can't be changed unless Congress votes for it to be changed. Also, they can't end the Department of Education unless Congress votes for it to be ended. In future budgets, however, for money that's not already been appropriated, they can wipe things out if they so choose. But right now, this money, this $2.3 billion, has already been appropriated. Could they change the formula? Maybe. But for now, I don't see, the federal workers are gonna be gone. A lot of the research is gonna be gone. But if they do what they're gonna say and shift that money to the states, that money can't be gone, can't be eliminated unless Congress acts to do it. So I'm closely monitoring that, okay, as the politicians say. It's scary time for education. Educators are very scared. But for this budget, I think the money is going to be safe ultimately. I can't say for the future, though. So that is all I have. So kind of a long one. Do you have any questions? I'm happy to answer them.
Hi, Senator. Thank you for
Hi,
coming.
Trustee Foster.
First, I will say thank you. I appreciated the lawsuit that the Senate filed against the State House. Hopefully, there was some resolution to those 9 bills. I do have a question about the state budget process. Typically, y'all are having hearings on the state budget in committee, and we have some kind of final budget that passes the legislature in June. So communities and schools know how much money they are getting from the state of Michigan. My worry is that because of the slowing down of the process, the speaker has said that we're not going to have a budget until later, and even took a vote to mitigate against a state government shutdown. I'm wondering if you can talk some about the process for the state budget and what you're hearing on timing.
The state, there is no or was never going to be a government shutdown here in Michigan. That's not a real thing. So that's some political calculation they've made to kind of pass a shell budget that, you know how our kids have like free school meals now, universal free school meals, that's gone. So they passed a budget that stripped everything out. I don't know what the long game is, Trustee Foster, but I can tell you that the governor and the majority caucus in the Michigan Senate think it's very important to get the budget in schools' hands by the July deadline, so that they can, make their own budgets. So it's games, it's political games, it's gamesmanship. I don't like to see it, but we're gonna do everything within our power to get that budget in on time.
Thank you.
Just to remind everybody, we are taking a break in 5 minutes, so. Okay.
Hi, Senator. I just wanted to thank you for coming and giving us this legislative update, and hope that you will continue to periodically come and do these updates. So, thank you.
I think I made a mistake because I don't remember being here. I know I delivered some big check presentations, but somehow I think that I have not given one of these to you in a while. So that's on me. Sorry.
No, I just, thank you for saying that, Trustee Bordenski. I agree.
Thank you. Just a couple that are important to Canton, which you're well aware of, is the radioactive waste. I know that kind of died in lame duck session. And so I believe it's being worked up to come back to stop the radioactive waste from coming from New York to Wayne Disposal. So be on the lookout for that. But I don't know if you've been talking about that in your committees at all.
I voted yes on that bill, yes, and it came through a committee I sit on called the Energy Committee. No, Michigan's not a dumping ground for your, old radioactive waste. I will say that the waste, that Manhattan waste, the old waste, I called Eagle personally. Eagle is the environment department in Michigan. Now, whether you believe this or not, I grilled them. They said that that waste has the same radioactivity as a granite countertop. And that, and trust me, don't dump the waste here. We don't want your even, benign waste. We don't want nuclear waste. We're not a dumping ground. And the reason they want to bring it here is because we have such a good receptacle, because we follow all the rules and our receptacle for it is good. That's why they picked us. This is winning the crap lotto, So, but the radioactive waste, there's such small radioactivity that it technically could be legally dumped in any landfill. This is what they told me. But because it has special significance with the Manhattan Project, it is radioactive waste. This has caused panic, rightfully so. So I'll vote no, I'll vote yes again. Can't dump your waste here. And we need to increase our tipping fees too, because heck no, we don't want Canada's garbage and everybody else's garbage. And we have some of the lowest tipping fees in the nation, which is why people bring their garbage here. All right.
Another thing, just to let you know, is the PA 152. That's what it was called
Yeah.
before for health.
Solid waste code?
That's another thing that Canton is watching closely.
Okay. All right. All right.
Well, thank you very much for
Thank
coming. We look
you.
forward
Thanks
to
for
seeing you
having
soon.
me. Thank
And
you.
we'll-
I'm going to sit and listen for a little bit.
Okay, we look forward to seeing you at the State of the Township also this week.
I am coming. Is that tomorrow?
It's Thursday.
Thursday.
6 o'clock. Thank you, thank you. All right, so we're just going to take a quick recess. I don't think we have to vote on this, right? Just 15 minutes. Okay, all right, quick recess. All right, go ahead. We'll be back at 7:50. Oh, geez, okay. All right, great. Okay, we're all back. Thank you for waiting. So next on the agenda, we have boards and commission reports. Any board or commission reports? Okay. Now we have our YAC team back there. We have Rohan and Neha who has joined us. And now we have public comment on agenda items only. So public comment on agenda items only, 3 minutes if you want to go up for public comment on agenda items. Anyone in the room for agenda items? Okay, let me see if there's anybody online. We have 0 attendees online. Okay, great. All right, now we have the approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for 2:25 and 3:04?
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the minutes from February 25th, 2025 and March 4th, 2025 as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Bordenski. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Can I have a motion to pay the bills?
Madam Supervisor, I motion that we pay the bills.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Slavin, supported by Trustee Foster. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, now we have the consent calendar.
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board approve the consent calendar as presented. Item C1, consider second reading and adoption of an amendment to Appendix A zoning of the Code of Ordinances for Everbrook rezoning. C2, consider second reading and adoption of an amendment to Appendix A zoning of the Code of Ordinances for CESO and IMAC Properties LLC rezoning. C3, consider second reading and adoption of an amendment to Appendix A zoning of the Code of Ordinances for SRB Servicing LLC rezoning. C4, consider request to renew UKG timekeeping software. C5, consider approval of the purchase of one 2025 GMC Yukon XL utility for fire services and the associated budget amendment. Finally, item C3, consider approval of the purchase of lighting equipment to uplift 9 patrol cars for police services.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seegers, supported by Trustee Borninski. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. All right, now we move on to the general calendar, item G0, which was consider approval of attorney recommendation and sale of real property.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the sale of land at 5535 Research Drive, Canton, Michigan, 48188, subject parcel number, and to negotiate on behalf of the Township Board as directed by the closed session to AMI Land, settle all matters related to the land, and authorize the Township Supervisor to sign all necessary documentation to effectuate the sale and settlement agreement concerning the land.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. The next item, consider the addition of the Summit Community Center Coordinator and the Recreation Coordinator to the merit wage scale.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the addition of the Summit Community Center Coordinator and Recreation Coordinator positions to the non-union classified employee wage scale at grade 210, and the budget amendments as outlined.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. During the comprehensive market analysis and job classification review of merit positions completed by the Management Advisory Group International, a need for a coordinator-level position was identified for the Leisure Services and Community Development Department. This component of the study is being implemented now due to the selection process that will occur. The role of the coordinators will be both supervisory and administrative for the Summit and Recreation programs. Therefore, the positions of Summit Community Center Coordinator and Recreation Coordinator have been created with their respective job descriptions. The positions are factored at grade 210 and are both classified as exempt. If approved, the positions will be posted internally as there are qualified candidates to fill the positions. The positions will not result in a headcount increase to the Leisure Services and Community Development Department because the internal candidate positions will not be backfilled. Well, let me see, okay. Director Rashad, do you want to add anything?
This will provide some additional administrative and supervisory support, which would be helpful due to the volume of programs that are run both at through the community center, which is the Summit, and also in our recreation programs. Thank you. Happy to
you.
answer any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G2, consider approval of a budget amendment and establishing a Cherry Hill Village Town Square budget. Got me there.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the related budget amendment to establish a Cherry Hill Village Town Square 2025 budget.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Borninski. Through a combination of funding sources, Canton continues to put efforts into the Canton Town Square project at Cherry Hill. With previous approval of a budget from the board, much of the construction is now underway, including the factory building renovation, Preservation Park's newly designed green space and pavilion, and the addition of public parking. It is anticipated that many more projects will begin in the next few months. To keep these current projects moving on their dedicated timeline, as well as begin any new projects, a budget must be established. The budget amendment being requested does not exceed the budget established at the creation of the project. Director Lefevre, do you want to add anything?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Just, this is a bit of a housekeeping item, so just moving the remaining budget that was left at the end of '24 into '25 so that we can continue funding the project.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. G3, consider approval of security camera cable purchase and installation at the factory building.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve a purchase order for the security camera cable supplies and installation of the Cherry Hill Factory Building to GSI Incorporated for $65,989.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. In November 2023, the Board of Trustees approved a 5-year service contract with GSI Incorporated of Troy to provide support and service for the township camera and card access systems. With construction underway at the Cherry Hill Factory Building, it is determined that adding security cameras before finishing the interior walls is more cost-effective. GSI Incorporated provided a proposal to supply and install a security system for the Cherry Hill Factory Building for $59,990. Staff recommends a 10% contingency of $5,999, totaling $65,989. Director Lefevre, do you want to add anything?
Just that this is a sign of the factory project progressing, so this is the security system that will be installed for when the building is open.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. G4, consider approval of a purchase order for the additional professional engineering services for the Cherry Hill Village parking lot.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve a purchase order increase to OHM Advisors for the Cherry Hill Village parking lot lighting engineering services for a total of $18,000.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Foster. In August 2024, the Board of Trustees approved an RBA to award engineering services for the Cherry Hill Village water feature and the public parking lot projects to OHM Advisors. Initially, township staff were exploring the DTE community lighting program for the site. Still, due to costs and maintenance, it is more economical for the township to own and maintain in the long term. The parking lot construction project is underway, and having the site plan would allow the general contractor to incorporate the engineered lighting plan into their current project. Therefore, the staff is recommending increasing PO is listed in the amount of $18,000 to cover the cost of adding lighting to the public parking lot. Let me see this. Director Lefevre, this is you again. Any questions?
Nothing to add, but happy to take questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. G5, consider extending the scope of work for Fishbeck, Thompson, Carr, and Huber to include permit application support.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve expanding the scope of work with Fishback along with a purchase order not to exceed $16,600 and the related budget amendment.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Brunensky. Canton Township is in the process of constructing Fire Station Number 4. After an environmental review by Fishbeck, Thompson, Carr, and Huber, it was determined that permitting from Eagle would be necessary. The department is requesting to increase the scope of work of Fishbeck to also include a pre-application meeting with Eagle and joint permit application support along with the purchase order and an amount not to exceed $16,600. Director Stockline, do you want to add anything?
I'll just say I'm trying to get this thing built as fast as I can, so this will help.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. G6, consider approval of budget amendment and purchase order for the repair of Village Theater projectors.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the related budget amendment and a purchase order to Tel Systems for a total amount of $36,932 for the repair of Village Theater projectors.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Brunzinski. The two largest projectors at the village.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Trustee Ansari. The two largest projectors at the Village Theater need repair due to their extended use. These projectors are utilized for most background sets and graphics projected on stage at the theater. Without these projectors, the quality of theater and cable productions is greatly diminished. As the projectors primarily impact Canton Cable's ability to film and broadcast theater productions at a superior level, the cost of the repairs will be funded from the cable budget through cable PEG fees, requiring a budget adjustment. The total cost of repairs for one projector is $16,932. While both projectors require repair, only one projector has been able to be shipped for an estimate. The shipping of each projector requires a special container large enough to fit the projector, and one remains at the theater. The cost of the second projector is expected to be similar. Therefore, staff are requesting a budget amendment and purchase order not to exceed $36,932 to ensure funds for the second repair. Director LaFever, do you want to add anything?
Just that these are a vital part of the theater, as we'll see on Thursday. Unfortunately, they're very expensive, and big things have expensive repairs. So fortunately, we're able to utilize some of the cable funds to get those repairs. So they're much needed. And again, unfortunately, it's an expensive process, but something that really needs to be done.
Questions or comments? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G7, state grant for election security.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve accepting a State of Michigan grant in the amount of $30,000 to authorize the necessary budget adjustment.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Segrist, supported by Treasurer Slavens. The Canton's Clerk's Office has been awarded a state grant for election security. A grant was made accessible to municipalities of the state of Michigan to acquire funds for the purpose of election security. The grant is to cover purchases made between October 2024 through February 2025. The clerk's office has purchased battery backups for precincts in case of a power outage. Line management stanchions, police walkie chargers, and voting secrecy sleeves were also purchased. The state-required workbook is included with all purchases. Clerk Segrist, would you like to add anything?
I'm here to answer any questions. This was a nice grant that fell into our lap, and it allowed us to do some things that we had not planned on doing. It allowed us to bring online the walkie-talkies, which is super helpful for the emergency kind of response and continuity of operations plan. Will Hayes has been wanting us to do that for a bit now, and we were hesitant to spend money out of the budget to do it, so this helped get us there. And then also we were able to take some of the built-in expenses we were going to have regardless and have them covered by the grant. So it's not just that we get to do things we weren't intending on doing. This is going to relieve some of the financial burden that the clerk's office budget was going to realize this year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we have our YAC students have some questions back there.
Yeah, we just
got-
would like to know if this grant will be provided every year.
No, this is a one-time grant, and it's not likely to reoccur. It's a security grant, which means it stems from the Help America Vote Act, which is a federal grant, and it's probably reasonable to believe that in the current political climate, that most federal elections grants will disappear.
Is that it? Any questions from the board?
I'll just say congratulations, good job.
Yeah.
My
yeah.
staff worked on that.
I also think this is great, especially like the battery backups, because I think we had a power outage at one of our precincts last fall. So.
Sure did. Yep. Yeah.
All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Congratulations. Next, we have additional public comments. Additional public comments for 3 minutes. If you could please come up to the podium and state your name and then your address. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Bob Cieslak, and I live on Willow Creek in the Pickwick Village subdivision, and we have a magnificent problem. And last year, I came in front of the tax appeal people you have here, the three, and I presented them with documents, newspaper articles, and many pictures, and not any of them knew anything about Willow Creek. They didn't know where it was, they didn't know it floods, and these are the people that turned me down, and they knew nothing about Willow Creek. Why don't we have people that know, that have knowledge of the township, that have, you know, that can answer questions or ask me questions? They knew nothing about Willow Creek, and it wasn't fair. So then I applied to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. So I went ahead and filled out all the documents again, put in my money, and supplied Ann Zalick, the assessor, the information she required. So I gave her documents and pictures and newspaper articles and stuff from Wayne County that you're aware of. And she never visited my house, but she used the house down the street that's 1,000 feet larger than mine, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, all brick, with a huge family room, none of which I have. I have 1,700 square feet, 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath. And she used that house as the basis for comparing to my house, and I couldn't get a tax break from the Michigan Tax Tribunal either, because that house sold for $350 grand, and my house would not sell anywhere near that because of my damage. I have a collapsed foundation. My yard is practically gone. The whole area in the middle is sunk. I've lost so much of the side and so much of the back that last year when I was cutting the grass, the lawnmower tipped over right into the creek, so that was not a lot of fun. Do I ever get any help from Canton Township? They're the ones that came in and put the riprap in the 4-foot pipe, and that's all collapsing. I'm losing my yard again on that side, and it's not my responsibility. Canton Township did that, not me. Do I ever get any help from them? Municipal services? Or you don't know about it? Come and visit. You could learn a lot about what goes on in Canton Township. It's not fun. I had 250 feet of water, 12 feet deep, on April 25th, 2023. It's within 6 feet of my basement foundation. It wasn't just me, it was all 16 houses there. We couldn't get in or out of the neighborhood. There was so much water on Greenwood Drive, Lily Road, Haggerty Road. Can't get anything done. I've been trying for 39 years to get something done, and we can't get anything done. And I've noticed now that we have a special assessment that says Willow Creek DR on our tax bills. Tried to find out what that was for. They've collected over $140,000 so far. I talked to Diane Slavin's department. I can never get an answer. Nobody knows what it's for. What are we collecting $140,000 for? I talked to
Thank you, Mr.
Melissa
Susak.
Daub, and I couldn't get an answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it?
Yeah, 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. You can speak after to people if you like. Yes, go ahead, please.
Good evening, Gerald Dotson. I've been a resident of Canton since 1995, American hero, Korean, Vietnam, and senior financial advisor to the Secretary of Defense for 30 years. I'm rather upset. The ignominious, nefarious Neanderthal media is berating police and saying they want police officers and police departments defunded. I have a retort for that. It's a very simple one, but it's poignant. Police are people too. Get it? Does the media get it? Police are people too. Look at this. This is a picture for you, isn't it? It's a picture, isn't it? That's me. At 4 years, 10 months. I got lost in Main Street in Royal Oak. A Royal Oak police officer grabbed me by the hand and took me to the police station. When my uncle came to fetch me, I was sitting on the desk, my feet dangling because it didn't touch the floor, eating a vanilla ice cream cone. That's what police officers do. Policing is not a job. It is calling. We have the finest police force in the country right here. Our police chief is an outstanding leader. We support you 100%. And the police, I think a bullet for any one of them, are my heroes. They're your heroes. They're our heroes. Remember, police are people too.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dotson. Anyone else in the room?
Good evening. I would just say real quick that I wholeheartedly agree with the gentleman, and I think we know that we have a great police force, we have a great fire force, we have a great administration. It's great to see that you can bring the state leaders together to speak here. It's great to see that, you know, you can get them interacting. It's great to see, we talked about that pipe, right, the other day, the potential. So there's a lot of innovation that's coming out of here right now. And I think there was a lot of time went by when there wasn't innovation. So it's going to take a lot of time to change and get to innovation. And, you know, doing a great job of doing that. Of course, everybody appreciates the services that are being built upon here. And we just have to work at it as a collective group and get to the end game. And, you know, the guest we had here tonight made a really nice comment. He says, this is a very sophisticated community. I travel to a lot of communities, and he says, this is one of the highest sophisticated communities I said. And I said, you know, I stress that all the time. Let's try to be sophisticated. And I think we're doing a great job of getting there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Miller?
I'd like to see the clock so I have my 3 minutes.
You want me to put the clock up for you?
Absolutely.
Okay, just a second.
Since I'm paying for this mic as a citizen, I would like my 3 minutes.
We always give
Please.
you 3 minutes. Okay, how do I do this? Okay, clock.
Waiting.
Okay, I got to get on the computer
Oh,
here.
You're doing the best you can.
Just a minute. All right, let me see.
Well, this downtime, do I get another 30 seconds?
It better be
No.
good, George.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. Here it is.
You can bring your own clock next time.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I just happen to forget my clock out.
There you go.
I'll make sure I usually have it.
Okay,
That's
now
wonderful.
It's a rare case that I don't.
Put it on my phone.
that's true. Yeah, he wants to see it. Okay. All right, let me see. It's not sharing. Okay, share.
Well, we can continue
on?
here. if
Okay,
need
go
be.
ahead.
Here we go.
We're up and running? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I have to settle for this screen here. It's not
There
over
it is.
where I can
There
see
it is.
Go, George.
It's working? Well, let's touch on the flood situation this gentleman had. Where is the results from the Army Corps of Engineers? They're supposed to take care of this stuff. Ditches over here, I've been complaining for 20 years and they never get cleaned. Used to have some of the DPW people clean them 20 and 30 years ago, the Dingle Day family. All right, let's go to the Village Art Center. 2.8 million, and it's 100 foot from the creek and it floods. We're talking about Eagle here. There's a dump over there that I've approached with you guys, 25 acres south on Hannon Road, okay? 25 acres, it was closed, level with the ground there, and it comes up 25 feet. And you know what Eagle says? There's no retaining pond, and all that area is flooded over there where Ford parks their vehicles and the trucking company, 4 vacuum trucks, and they can't keep up. They couldn't keep up out here at Cherry Hill Village, and you bought it for 2.8 million. Same way with that dump over there. It was supposed to be closed, and it's insignificant. That's what Eagle tells me. Okay, let's move on to the copper roof. We never did really find out on the summit how much a copper roof is. I like that. I'd like to address that issue. Let's go to snow fences here. There's been a problem with snow fences. I've approached your ordinance department and your planning department. I want specific what you classify a snow fence. Thickness, height, color, everything. Because the last time I got a fine, when people were throwing snow up against the house and burying 4 foot of snow on the house. Now you do it, or I'll approach it with an attorney. I'm done with this. Okay, let's go to the Pizza Hut, the turn roundabout. Ford Road hasn't been widened from here to Telegraph in 75 years. And you guys think, and you gotta move all those houses back and businesses and do the sewers. Gas stations gotta be so far from Ford Road, there's rules on it. And guess what? You're gonna do that because of Canton? I doubt it. Now, I don't understand why we have to have a building that costs $1 million to store our equipment in. Excavating equipment. You bought an excavator here, reaches 25 foot. I've been out here buying land and looking at it for years in subdivisions. The servers are 10 foot. Your backhoe reaches 15 foot and you service them. You don't need what's your use for an excavator for 25 foot? I'd like to know when you're going to go over here and fix the ditch, the guardrail at Palmer Road and Sheldon Road. That's been, the guardrail's in the ditch, so somebody slides off in the wintertime, they get in 6 foot of water and the kids drown.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Anyone else, public comment? Come up and state your name.
Good evening. I'm Mary McSweeney. I am part of Cavalier Village HOA. I'm their treasurer and acting president at this point. What we've been talking about, we had a meeting downstairs this evening, is about the Salem Township wastewater. And I've been reading about how Eagle looks like they're going to approve the permit for it, which would put 850,000 gallons daily of treated wastewater into Fellows tributary. That runs right behind Cavalier Village. My co-resident lives on Cavalier Road and has had his basement flood. And when the tornado came through, when the flooding, multiple times he has had water up to the back door of his house. So the fact, I know Eagle's doing it, and I read that you guys had all approved a feasibility study for possibly a pipe to go in there. And I want to say we are all for it, or as an alternative, that tributary is so overgrown. Has anyone looked at like dredging it to help keep the water running? So
You can talk to our team after, yes.
Oh, okay. That's something that we've got a lot of, I'm just trying to quickly count, I know of at least 15 homes that back right up to that tributary. So it does impact us, and, it will impact the home values in the north part of Cavalier Village. Did I get everything? Yes. Okay. That's all I've got.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Any more public comment? Okay. Now we will do administrative comments. Does anyone, staff, have anything to? No? No?
Thank you, Mr. Dotson, for your comments. I concur. We have a great police department.
Did you hear him, Mr. Dotson? I don't think he heard you. Chief Chad, speak up. Come on. You can do it.
I thought the microphone would help me out, but thank you, Mr. Dotson. I agree with you. Thank you.
Our YAC students, any comments?
Yeah, we just wanted to say again that our grant application is still open, and we have been distributing the Canton Township Sports Programming Survey to help out the LSAC committee as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Now, how about the board? Amara?
Yeah, just that the draft of the master plan is still open for public comment, and we have until March 19th. So that deadline is coming up, and we're looking forward to hearing your feedback.
Thank you, Kate.
Just hoping everyone is enjoying the nice weather this week. And I also want to say happy birthday to our treasurer, who has a birthday this week.
Thank you. Happy birthday. Shall we all sing? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Diane?
Well, it's Women's History Month, March, so wanted to remind everybody about that, as well as Women's Health Month, too, which is important. I just wanted to say a couple of things about the Tax Board of Review. Those folks do go through quite a bit of training, and there is a process. And then as for most of our property taxes we pay a little bit on our drains. And any questions, we are given a list of what to put on the tax bill. We don't know what they've done. So I know my deputy has given the phone number of the drain commissioner in Wayne County. I can get it again if you'd like, but.
Okay.
Okay, but those are the two, and I keep calling. We don't know, we're given, okay, I'm just telling you. Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Summer?
Yes, happy birthday this week, Diane. It almost springtime. The weather's getting better. I don't want to get too excited about it. From what we called it today at a meeting was fake spring. So hopefully it stays nice. It's nice to see the sun out. And yeah, hope everyone has a great week.
Thank you, Michael.
I would just like to acknowledge that this Friday there is a pretty cool religious holiday called Holi that is going to be celebrated by the Hindu community here in Canton Township. And so I wanted to wish everybody who celebrates a happy Holi. And outside of that, we've done most of the work in the clerk's office around the potential precinct realignment, and I also presented it to some of the advocacy groups in the C3 community and got some feedback from them, and they were very grateful for the intentionality that the election commission has put into the kind of new precinct boundaries and new voting locations. We are still waiting for confirmation from one location for their approval. And once I get that, I will come to we'll have another election commission meeting. We will give it one last go, take a look at it, and then we will bring it to the township board for approval. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's a good plan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, a couple of things that were brought up. So we have a State of the Township on Thursday. If you want to sign up, you can sign up online. It's going to be at the Village Theater at 5 o'clock, and the presentation will be at 6 o'clock. Also on Friday, we're having what's called the Conference of Western Wayne. So we'll have 18 communities of Western Wayne here in this room. We're going to talk about business that all of us have in common. Ramadan Mubarak and Holi. Also happy Holi, but also Mr. Cieslak, I know you had talked about, I know that we've been to your house several times, and also supposedly Almika, so if you want, you can talk to our staff a little bit more about it, but they've sent you a couple letters about some other steps you can take, just to let you know. All right, so let me see. Anything else, board? No? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.